Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and today we are going to have our first look at Active Sky for Flight Simulator. Now, I am a little bit late to the party here because I had a little bit of real world flying to do and because I didn't want to mess my system before the cross a pond and stuff like that, so I am a little bit late to it, but let's go. Now, the only thing that I literally looked up in the meantime was that there were quite a people rather unhappy about it, but, well, let's go ahead and make our first look ourselves. So, we're going to start with a quick comparison. We're standing right here in the 737 in Amsterdam, and if we have a look at the outside, this is what the Active Sky weather looks like. Now, Active Sky has several different modes in which we can use it, and I want to give you a very quick look at how we are going to check it today. So, in general, we've got the home screen where we can set a couple of favorites and stuff like that, but then we got the weather control, and this is where the most important stuff happens. So we can switch between live weather and historical weather, and we could also set up custom weather. Another mode that is really nice up here is the scenario mode, where you can set up things like a microburst encounter and so on. Now, this one's actually set up exactly in the scenario of the Delta Airlines Flight 191, which brought the actual plane down to the ground. Also nice, wake turbulence or severe icing, so lots of lovely stuff that you can practice with Active Sky. Now, another interesting thing here is the conditions page, where you can see what the current weather conditions actually are, and if they are depicted like that in the sim. And also winds aloft, which can turn in really handy. Now, today we're going to use Active Sky in the live weather mode, and we are going to make a quick flight from Amsterdam over to Düsseldorf. We're standing right here in Amsterdam ready to go. It's going to be a quick 30-minute flight within which we are going to have a look at the actual weather conditions. Before we depart for our flight though, I want to give you a quick comparison between the Active Sky weather and the default weather. So this is what Active Sky looks like. Now let's go ahead and shut that down, and then we are going to have a look at the default weather. So Active Sky is what we have right over here. Now let's go ahead and switch that over to standard Microsoft weather, and this is what the Microsoft version of things looks like. From a real world perspective, I can easily tell you that those clouds are really big here, and when there is just few clouds reported in the real world, then what you see here would rather not be fitting, you know. Few clouds really means, well, you go out on a nice summer day and you got a couple of clouds at the sky, but that is really what a few cloud scenario looks like in the real world. Now, let's go ahead and turn Active Sky back on and have a look at what that is going to look like. It does take a little while of starting up, so don't worry if this takes a little moment, but I'm sure we will be able to see quite a difference in a few moments. It might take half a minute or something, to be honest. Now, remember what I just said. We should see like smaller clouds, not that large, and they should just, you know, look like a typical lovely summer day that, you know, where there's just a few clouds at the sky. Generally, for a few conditions, I would say these Microsoft clouds here are probably even a little bit too many, because few really means like you've only got 1 or 2 octaves of the sky covered, and this, especially when looking in this direction, this might certainly be scattered already in the real world. But well, we'll have to wait for a moment until Active Sky has loaded its own weather in again. Sometimes I have a feeling you need to go outside of the sim's own weather mode and go right into standard weather. So let's say we deactivate live weather here, bring back to real time please. Okay, deactivate live weather, and here we go, that's our Active Sky weather back in. You know, in my opinion this looks a lot more accurate. You've got much more defined cumulus clouds here, sharper edges, and in general a nicer distribution as well. If you ask me, this is really looking a lot more accurate than what we had in the previous version of standard Microsoft weather. But okay, let's go right onto our seat. We are going to do the before start checklist below the line, and then we are going to start our pushback procedure. So continue push over here please, and you can make that facing Mike Whiskey. Okay, so before start checklist below the line. Air compacts off, anti-collision light on, parking brake set, transponder alt off, before start checklist complete. Ground from cockpit, go ahead. So, please confirm all doors and hatches closed, ground curtain removed, and bypass pin is installed. Yeah, that's all confirmed. Roger, and the parking brake is released, clear to push. Roger, start on the pushback. So, few things then as to what we are expecting with these kind of weather conditions. So, I'm recording this in late April. That means we are slowly getting into the direction where summer starts, and clouds like these, especially when they have very defined edges like these over here have, are a clear indicator of turbulence, aka thermals, and those are certainly expected under these weather conditions. So whenever we are flying below the level of the top of the clouds, I do expect to encounter turbulence, especially within the clouds, but also outside of the clouds here in the blue. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little bit of turbulence there as well. That is how I would judge the weather that we see over here. Now let's go ahead and commence our engine start. Engine number 2 is going to come first. Then we can finish our pushback and make our way towards runway 24 for our departure. Now 24, as far as I'm aware, has just been reopened, so should have a brand new runway over here and a very short taxi in a few moments there as well. Okay, so N2, oil pressure, N1. Bring on the fuel. The valves are moving, awesome, and here we go. Engine is starting up. Okay, so that's the end of our pushback position over here. Just a quick word, by the way. In the previous video, I said somewhere that this would look strange to me and can't be realistic. Apparently it is realistic that they place the aircraft here, like that, so my apologies for that misinformation on an earlier live stream. You guys have been completely correct to correct me on that. Alright, so we've got a good start on engine number 2, start a cutout. Let's isolate a pack, start warming it up a bit, and then we are going to start engine number 1. Okay, so that's N2 increasing. Oil pressure is coming, N1 is increasing as well. A little bit early. Normally oil pressure in N1 should come at about 20% on the CFM56 start. Okay, so fuel comes on, and here we go. Okay, looking good. Okay, that looks like 2 good starts. You're clear to disconnect here with a clear signal on the left side with a pin. Have a wonderful day. Bye now. Make it on the right side. Might be easier. Okay, and there he goes. Awesome. Okay, flight control track. Full up, full down, neutral, full left, full right, neutral, rudders, full left, full right, neutral. Okay, after start checklist. Generators on, APU off, start switches continuous, ProArt on, anti-ice off, air conditioning, PAX auto, bleeds on, isolation valve auto, flaps. We've got 5 required, 5 selected and a green light, step trim 5 units. Set, that's why we read the checklists. Okay, start switches, idle detent, and recall check before start checklist complete. So let's go for taxi then. Out to the left, and then we can go right here to the runway. Okay, config. It's looking good. We have a pretty light aircraft today. We are only looking at approximately 70 passengers today. Because normally this flight is operated by an Embraer, but the Embraer was broken, so we took the 737 instead. But nonetheless, couldn't gather any additional passengers, so we just kept it like that. It's a little bit of fun to fly at different weights as well, isn't it? Okay, so we go straight out on the second taxiway. Now, somebody actually gave me a pretty good mnemonic recently about taxiing in Amsterdam, and it actually went quite easy. Basically, you've got right traffic. In other words, if you're going that way around, go on the rightmost taxiway. If you go the other way around, again, you taxi on the rightmost taxiway. That makes it pretty easy. Okay, before takeoff checklist down to the line. Config, checked, flaps, 5 green lights, step trim, 5 units, set. Takeoff briefing. Lofty takeoff, 2-4, flaps 5, noise abatement procedure number 2, and we are not going to use VNAV on this one, it's going to be a manual one. Okay, takeoff speeds, 129, 130, 134, with the PAX auto bleeds on, anti-ice off. Now, for the emergency, straight at 25 miles, and we can pick up a holding over there in 3000, the MSA is 2000. And finally, our departure is the RM3 Yankee, RM3 Sierra, with a left turn out, contact departure when advised by the tower. Any questions? Nope, that is awesome. Cabin is secure, before takeoff checklist complete down to the line. And that's runway 24 right over here. We are clear on the left side, and we are clear on the right side. Cabin crew, prepare for departure. Before takeoff checklist below the line. MCP, set, transponder, Tara, strobe lights on, landing lights on, before takeoff checklist complete. Okay, are you ready to go? Then we're expecting turbulence underneath the clouds and good weather above the clouds. So a quick look into what we are going into. Yeah, might be a little bumpy. Okay, stabilized, set, takeoff thrust. Takeoff thrust set, indications normal. 80 knots, checked. Gear up. Okay then, not touching the controls right now except for maintaining standard pitch. LNAV is on. Pretty lightweight, you can see how well the aircraft climbs. Buck up. Little bit of turbulence that we just had there. Okay, flaps 1. Speed checked, flaps 1. Overall, really have to say these conditions do seem to match what I'm expecting. You can see how the airplane is going a little bit left and right there. Little bumps. Of course the 737 isn't a Cessna, so you won't be as shaken as you might be in some general aviation aircraft, but overall I really tend to say this... There is a little bit of shakes, yeah. Now look at that. Actually got to do a little bit of correction here. Got some 5 degrees right bank. That can absolutely happen. Okay, flaps up, no light. VNAV, set standard. Okay then, continue the climb, and now it's gonna get interesting when we actually pass through the cloud level. Engine anti-ice on. And that is on now. Fairly smooth right now. Flying right through the edge. I would expect a little bit of a couple of bumps here. But this is actually pretty smooth. Now there's a little bit of turbulence in here. Ooh, wow. Had to correct for that one. Okay, I would actually call that fairly okay for the conditions that we had at hand over here. Command A. Okay, speed going towards 250, engine anti-ice off. And release the cabin. Okay, excellent. So once again, this is what it looks like using Active Sky. And this is Microsoft weather. Definitely the Active Sky one is a lot more accurate there. Let's turn the Microsoft off again. And this is Active Sky. Active Sky is a lot more accurate under these conditions. A lot more accurate. Okay, let's go back inside. Passing level 100. Lights off, APU off, air compress set, seatbelts. Should stay smooth up here. Auto, recall, checked, 1 to 1.5. Monitoring, 10 checks complete. And just to confirm the after takeoff checklist, as I didn't have a PM earlier, that's air compress 4.8, maintaining set, and altimeters, standard, after takeoff checklist complete. Alright, so that much about the general look at Active Sky versus Microsoft in fair weather conditions. Let's just do that once more, because that looks a little bit more overcast. Let's see that under Microsoft. Yeah, well, honestly, both of those might be correct for the conditions given. Indeed, I tend to say Microsoft looks a tad better there. But then again, don't have any webcam that would show me what it looks like over there in the real world right now. But overall, I tend to say this weather is generally more accurate, at least under these very conditions here, than the Microsoft weather is. So let's see, can't be too far. Yeah, about 60 miles till our top of descent. So let's take a little moment now to go through a couple of the Active Sky settings that we have at hand. So I'm gonna have a look into the program right over here, and then weather control, we are using live weather right now. Obviously one important feature of the add-on is historical weather data and availability. So that is something that is a first in the simulator to actually work and give us proper weather control. Should add that. That was a lovely climb over here. Okay, so that is certainly a first in the sim under the given conditions. Now let's have a look into some of the features. So if we go to historical, we can just force it to the force the historical time to the simulator time. When we do that, then by changing the time and date that we have in here in the sim menu, we can change the time and date that Active Sky is going to download. So that's pretty nice. For example, if you're flying in winter conditions, then you are also going to get winter conditions on the outside, on the daylight hours and stuff like that. So that's a pretty nice mixture. Now, what we just saw outside though, I'm not sure if you've seen it, is unfortunately a thing that Active Sky had back in the P3D days already, and that is rather rapid weather transitions. Now, if we just go outside, we do have an overcast over here, so let's go outside and have a quick look at what that looks like. So, overcast with a couple of clouds coming out like that. Now, if you ask me, that is a little bit too many clouds sticking out of the overcast. If we have a look at these things individually, then this is certainly what it might look like. If, however, we have a look at the entire weather scenario here, then the overcast itself is looking pretty good, but there is a little bit too many clouds actually coming out of this. Let's have a look at what Active Sky tells us what the weather would currently be. Conditions at aircraft position. So, cloned by destination Düsseldorf, overcast 6000, few 112. That's interesting. Does that match the actual METAR? Where's the original one? Let's see. Echo Delta Delta Lima. That's actually showing Kavok. That's interesting. So original METAR of the station, and that is the current one. Kavok conditions. And if we take this out, cloned by Station Düsseldorf. Well, that's interesting. I mean, we do have to add that Carvok only goes until 5,000 feet, so an overcast in 6,000 might actually be accurate for the given conditions. Well, let's see if we can find any webcam to show us anything the likes. So let's have a look into this now. This is the current webcam from Düsseldorf Airport, and indeed, they are right. Even though the meta gives us Cav-OK conditions, that is only until 5,000. Below 5,000 it is Cav-OK. So it is actually an overcast in the real world airport right now. And Active Sky actually got that right. That's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and compare that to what Microsoft would give us at this position. Some clouds as well. Not an overcast though. Well, let's see if we can find anything close by that would more or less resemble the conditions that we actually have. So we're in the vicinity of Echo Hotel Lima Echo. And Echo Hotel Lima Echo, that is Eindhoven. Well, let's go ahead and have a look at what the conditions are in Eindhoven at the moment. Actually, Echo Hotel, Echo Hotel. Did I say Lima Echo? Yeah, I did. Echo Hotel Lima Echo. Okay. Well, that's Lelystad. Well, quick check. So Lelystad is reporting Cav-OK at the moment with rather good weather, to be honest. That should be somewhere over there in the back, and as you can see, that is cloudy. Well, let's go ahead and see if we can get a webcam from Lelystad. And we can get a webcam from Lelystad, so let's have a look at that once again. So, looking at this, it is actually overcast. It is showing Cav-OK, but as mentioned earlier, Cav-OK is only no clouds below or no significant weather within 5,000 feet. And, well, there is weather above that. So that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool indeed. So generally saying, it did get it right. Okay then. And looking into the other direction then, on the right hand side in 30 miles we have got Weeze coming up. Echo Delta Lima Victor. Let's take a quick look into that one as well then. So Weeze, showing few clouds, and well, if we do have a look outside, then Weeze is in this direction, also showing the overcast over here. So once again, if we do have a look at the webcams in the area, then for Weeze as well, we can see that there are some clouds at the sky at the moment. That is what it should look like. Depending on where you look, you either have that overcast E layer or you have these conditions. So, well, I tend to say it is okay. It's okay. Not perfect. Let's see what Microsoft would make out of it. Under these conditions, probably actually more accurate. I have to say that. Microsoft seems a little bit more accurate here. Back to Active Sky. Okay then, well, for our destination though, the weather is rather accurate, so that is what they build it upon. Okay, then let's quickly go ahead and do an approach setup, and then we are going to start our descent already. as I have a feeling we might be flying from Pisa directly to a waypoint just shy of the final. Delta Lima 455, and you can give me that right after Pisa, please. Something like that. And then it actually wants to start the descent already, which is fine for me. Let's go ahead and start going down. So, alternate event. No need to decelerate, my friend. You can simply go ahead and fly that a little bit faster. Okay, like that. So, might be entering a few clouds in a few moments. Engine anti-ice on. And seeing at which speed we're going to fly, might as well just put the fasten belts on as well already. Okay, so for the arrival, a very quick look into that, as we do need to prepare that good stuff. So ILS 23 left it is. 232 courses, 109.9 the frequencies. Like that, and the minimum's 238. Sorry, yeah, 238. Here we go, and the QNH of 1018. Like so. Alright, perfect. So all we need now is the rings, 2-3 left. With a 10-mile ring, and looking at the weather, definitely a 4-mile ring. So, /10/4, that's it. Alright, so that much about this. Let's go ahead and do the tasks for level 100 already. So we've got the lights on, angular bank 25, air compress 50 descending set, fast melts on, recall check 21.5 deselected. And that's the 10 checks complete. Alright, so let's use a short moment then to have a look into the different settings that I have done in my Active Sky. So, going over to the options, we've got a couple of general options, like download interval. I want my Active Sky to check for new weather every 15 minutes. Prevent downloads on approach and departure. That is basically going to postpone any... postpone any strong weather changes due to a METAR update on the approach. Well, you can choose to use VATSIM weather or not, and you can link it with your SimBrief user ID. That's pretty nice, and then you can automatically download the SimBrief flight plan. Now, in the simulator depiction options, you can choose whether you want hurricanes, and you can choose your smoothing rate, and this sets the relative rate or speed of smoothing between cloud and weather changes in the sim. So I've set it to something rather low here, like 5, because that is going to make the changes between the different METAR updates very smooth. That's something that Active Sky does really well, that previously the simulator did automatically. Now, looking into the turbulence, maximum cloud turbulence, I set it to 100 just because I like to feel something, and, you know, feeling turbulence by seeing it is a whole different thing than feeling turbulence by actually feeling it in the real world. Now, prevent thunderstorm when CB reported, that's quite a good thing here, that they have the setting. What this does is basically, in the real world, just because a CB is reported, that does not mean you've got thunderstorms. CBs by themselves usually do not come with a thunderstorm, but indeed, a CB is just, well, a CB. It doesn't mean it is actively producing a thunderstorm. So, for that reason, when thunderstorms actually exist, you will have TS in the METAR. So for that reason, I have this option turned on in my settings. Now, force broken to 7/8, I'm going to leave this off, but the sense of this option is in the real world, when you get broken conditions. By definition, broken is anything between 5, 6 or 8 octas, but often in the real world, when broken is reported, you can actually have something that looks almost like an overcast, just with a couple of very small holes in it. And that is what you get when you use this force broken to 7/8 options. Can use it, must not use it, to your liking. Personally, for my first couple impressions, I'm keeping this off, but I have turned it on now. Or I will turn it on for more tests in the future. Apart from that, surface wind, well, maximum of course. Maximum wind turbulence, we'll also keep that maximum just to see what's going to happen. Turbulence effect scale, now this one is rather important. If you turn this to maximum, then you are going to be thrown around and it might actually get really difficult to control your aircraft. If you don't, or if you keep this at 50, that's the default value, things do seem to work rather nice. Based on experience back in P3D, where Active Sky had similar settings available, you might need to turn it somewhere down low for certain aircraft. The same goes for the maximum wind shear value over here. So apart from that, you know, one thing that's interesting here is wake turbulence strength. Again, just keep it at 50, something the likes. And then you've got things like maximum downdraft or updraft rate in thermals. You gotta set this wherever you like it and wherever your add-on aircraft can really take it. So that's really the most important settings that you can make on Active Sky there. Right then, let's descend 3000, set QNH 1018, cross-checked, passing 7.4 now, checked. Alright, so that is a general look at the most important Active Sky settings that I can think about. So we're almost in our approach right now. Not that much more to do, let's just quickly read the descent and the approach checklist. So, descent checklist, pressurization, land out to 150, anti-ice on, approach briefing fuel discussed, ice and outbox checked and set, descent checklist complete. Frisk check then, frequencies 109.9, 3 times, rings 23 left, 10-4, items, Islas Dusseldorf southwest, standby instruments set, courses 232. So approach checklist, Omnius instruments set, cross-checked, approach rates checked, set, approach checklist complete. And here we go. So getting out of the overcast, exactly at 6000 as I said it. And this is an overcast. This is mostly stratus clouds over here. We saw that on the webcam as well. Yeah, ignore please. We saw that on the webcam as well. That over here, you know, we mostly had stratiform clouds. And it really looks like those. If we look at that from the outside as well, no sign of cumulus or anything the likes. This actually looks rather good. Let's compare that to the default weather now. Well, as we saw on the webcam, this is not what it looked like. It was more or less overcast. So I tend to say, if you go back like this is much more like what the actual webcam looked like. I do tend to say that the Active Sky weather here is more accurate. It really seems to be more accurate here. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn off the autopilot so that we can feel the turbulence and that we can feel what our aircraft is doing here. Now, anti-ice can go off again. Okay, auto thrust off. Wow, lovely weather transition here. Take that with a bit of sarcasm in it. Looks like the overcast got a little bit cleaner, or a little bit less thick, but in general the weather is still similar conditions. So under conditions like these I would expect maybe a tiny bit of turbulence due to the wind. Apart from that, I do expect it to be smooth in these conditions. Which it looks like it mostly is. Okay, there's our airport over there. Yep, altitude is checked. Okay then, start the right-hand turn, approach mode armed, Warlock captured, flaps 1. Speed checked. Yep, this is actually what we've been looking for. We can feel a little bit of turbulence in here, but just a tiny bit. That is alright, but it really shouldn't become any more than this. Okay, glide slope capture, go around altitude 4000 sat. Why did it go into Toga mode? I literally didn't touch anything. PMDG. Well, recycle flight directors. Flaps 5. And this is looking much better. Good that all our automation was turned off already. That way the plane couldn't do any stupid things. Oh, that is completely active sky now. I'm not touching the controls at all. Here you can see it. A little bit of turbulence here. I need to touch them now to stay on the ILS. Well, little bump every now and then. I tend to say this really wasn't too strong, especially for this time of the year, so that is okay. Now it's turning me to the right again. Let's correct for that. Okay. So, from now on I will start to work against the turbulence a little bit. Just in order to keep the airplane a little bit more accurately on the ILS. And, well, let's see how that is going to feel. Let's put it that way, for the weather conditions we have right now, it does feel rather accurate. Of course, those are not the most challenging conditions, certainly have to say that. These are definitely not the most challenging conditions, but, you know, everyone has tested active sky with thunderstorms and stuff like that. I find it much more interesting to see how it operates in a day-to-day environment. Of course, we are going to do the thunderstorm tests, that is out of question. Okay then, gear down, flaps 15, landing checklist. Checked, flaps 30. And of course that accidental go-around activation there has caused our flap speed to disappear. So 139 is what we're looking for. Okay, landing checklist. Start switches, continuous, recall, checked, speed brake, arm, green light, landing gear down 3 green, auto brake 3 set, flaps 30, 30, green light, landing lights on, landing checklist complete. Alright, let's see how this is going to turn out now. Getting low level, I would expect a little bit of turbulence maybe when going over the boundaries of the forest down there. Maybe that is going to have an impact. Let's see about it. Slight turbulence, yep. Almost right when overflying the boundary here. Right when we went over this. Okay, we know the glide slope comes in too high, so we're intentionally going below it. Checked. Continue.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Okay, down we are. So, speed brake up, thrust reverse normal. 100 knots. 80 knots. 60 knots, manual brakes. Auto brake disarm. Could have taken the first exit, but let's just go one further. And here we are. So, that was a nice one. Now, I do have to say, just looking at the different weather conditions that we have encountered during the flight, what's my first impression of Active Sky then? Well, I have seen some of the hate that Active Sky has gotten on the internet, and I really gotta say that I cannot quite concur with that. Now, in the vast majority of situations, Active Sky actually looked better than Microsoft Flight Simulator default weather, especially in those situations like, you know, right here with that cloud layer that we've got up there, or for example in the right over in the other airport, Amsterdam, where, you know, the standard weather really didn't look all that correct. On the other hand side, though, I do have to say that there have also been situations where Active Sky did look a little bit less good than the default Microsoft Flight Simulator weather did. So it is, well, not perfect, I would say, but it certainly did leave an okay-ish impression. I guess I need to fly a little bit more into the bad weather zones now in order to gather some more experience with that. So I don't want to build up a final opinion on the add-on yet, but surely the good weather test here was, well, mostly good, I'd say. It is an improvement over the default weather. Is it worth 28 euros? Well, I can't really comment on that yet. I need to do a couple more flights. It's not like I'm blown totally away, but I would say the first impression is an okay one. Not a perfect one, but an okay one. I'm not completely blown away with it, but we'll have to see and try a couple of the bad weather features now, and only then I really want to judge on the add-on. So, round number 1, I tend to say, was an okay one, and then we are going to go ahead and do a round number 2 in a separate video. So, I do hope that you liked this one. I do hope that you liked my take on Active Sky here, not just going all out in bad weather conditions, but actually checking some of the more common weather that you are going to experience on your flights. And well, I'm very much looking forward to your feedback on this one. So thank you very much for watching. I do hope that you have liked the flight. If you did, be sure to let me know in the comments below, and be sure to leave a like in YouTube as well, as it does really help out with the algorithms. Comment to let me know what you think, and if you really like what I'm doing over here, I would appreciate to see you either as a channel member or to see you subscribed to the channel. So thank you very much for watching, everyone, and then I'm looking forward to see you guys all again right on the next one.